Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 subtle lifting mistakes that most people ignore. But before we get into that, go check out the link in the description. The Lean Muscle Protocol has just dropped my £15 program. Go check that out if you want to build lean muscle and strength as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible as a natural. Go check that out. Go use my code LEO for 10% off at Amped Pre-Workout on Lucid Supplements. Both the links will be in the description, and I hope you enjoy the video. So the first mistake we're going to get into is a very, very common one. It is not bracing your core properly. Now, I see this so often in the gym, whether it be on compound lifts, isolation exercises, literally anything. Bracing your core is so important because that's the foundation, that's the stability of the movement, of any movement that you're doing, especially on compound lifts. Right, I'm going to teach you briefly how to do this. You should be breathing through your nose and out through your mouth, as I would suggest most of the time. You can breathe out through your nose, but most of you are going to default to breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth on most lifts. That's absolutely fine, especially when you're pushing yourself, right? This is how it should look and how it should feel. So I'm going to try and give you the best explanation. And you should feel it all around there. I've done this on other videos as well, but I want you to really emphasize, right? If you are on an eccentric part of the movement, you should be holding your breath and then breathing outwards on the concentric. That's the general rule of thumb. That is the general rule of thumb. And that works best because it's all to do with respiration and energy. And that increases as a result if you are doing the rep and doing it as hard as possible. You need to be breathing properly. You need oxygen to the working muscles. That is how you are going to get the most out of your lifts. It's fine if you're holding your breath for maybe 2 reps, but if you're holding your breath for the entire set, you're going to be missing out on a lot of gains, right? I'd say maximum 2 reps on some lifts to be holding your breath. And that's fine just by default, but you do need to be taking care of yourself and not going really bloodshot. I see some people, their veins, I've done this before, but I'm just telling you guys as a safety aspect, this is something you should really be getting better at and used to. Obviously pairing that with back extensions and core strength increasing exercises like Zercher squats can really help that. The next thing is going too quickly on reps and movements, right? And what I mean by that is, say if you're an example of bench press, right? I see some people dropping the weight and then absolutely like bouncing it off. And that's fine if you're doing warm-ups and you're really experienced, but if you're new and you're trying to increase your strength as best as possible, I'm not saying you have to be like a power lifter and lower it really slowly and pause it, press it back up. I'm saying you need to be in control throughout the whole movement because that is how you're less likely to get injured and get the most bang for your buck, right? Momentum's cool. You can use a bit of momentum, especially if you're going to failure. But if you're going on for strength and compound movements and you really want to get the most out of hypertrophy as well, you need to be controlling it to an extent. You can still move it quickly, be powerful, be strong. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a fine line between both. It's a fine line between both, and I would recommend controlling the weight. I'm not saying move it slower. I'm saying to control the weight throughout the whole movement so that you have and get the most bang for your buck out of the exercises, especially on compound movements. The next one is neglecting weak points. Now, a lot of people do this, especially when it comes to like rear delts. They wonder why their shoulders don't look as good as they could. And that is because they neglect certain small muscles that are still important for an aesthetic look, for being strong, and are overall just essential, that they're just missed out upon because they're small. And rear delts is a very good example of that. I would say calves is another example of that. I would say neck is another one. Training your neck is very good for an aesthetic physique. I've been doing it and I notice a massive difference in how I look and how I feel. And especially as someone who plays rugby and MMA and those kind of things, I enjoy it because it lowers my risk of concussion, it adds to my aesthetic. It's just nice. It's nice to feel strong in areas that previously are neglected and shouldn't be because they're just less popular and less kind of mainstream in the gym community. The next thing is a common one, which is ignoring recovery. Now, I've mentioned this a lot in my previous videos, but I'm just going to touch on it here briefly because I believe it is so important. You should be sleeping 8 hours plus. 10 hours, that's absolutely fine as well. If you've been training really hard, absolutely fine. Another thing is saunas. I use saunas on a regular basis, and those are very, very good for increasing recovery. Cold plunges, cold water, I would suggest timing those correctly, not directly after your workouts. Leave it about 6 hours before you do a cold plunge, because you want to get the most out of the inflammation from your workouts if you're trying to increase muscular size and strength, which we are on this channel. So what I tend to do is I do cold exposure either before a workout, and say I'm doing my upper lower split. I've done upper 2 days ago, had a rest day, and then I'm on lower today. I'll do cold exposure, not just before, I'm not timing it just before the workout, but you get what I'm saying. I'm doing it as far away from my previous workout as possible to get the most inflammation, but still get the benefits of cold exposure. If that's what you'd like to do, like myself, I enjoy the, I say the free dopamine. It's very earned dopamine, and that's what you should be doing. You should be earning your dopamine. But that's a completely separate video that's going to come in the future, so go check that out when that comes out. Another one is poor warm-ups. Now, you will get better at this as you become a more advanced lifter, but as a beginner, you should be warming up really thoroughly, I'd say, especially if you're older. Not that I believe a lot of older people are watching my channel on YouTube, but if you are, you need to be warming up correctly, laying foundations, getting good at the body weight exercises before you even go into weight bearing exercises like a push-up, a sit-up, a body weight squat. All these things are going to be helping you and giving you the foundations you need in order to be lifting weight bearing exercises at a good standard and at a good rate. And another one I didn't mention is pull-ups there. Pull-ups are also very important. Before you do weighted pull-ups, of course you're going to be doing pull-ups. Or before you do rows, you should be doing pull-ups. These are all the things that are essential. You should have foundations before you go straight into something. And just creating sustainable habits over time, improving yourself over time. There's no overnight success when it comes to the gym, and that's what a lot of people fail to gather. And it's why a lot of people end up on steroids very early before they've even reached their natural potential. And I'm not advocating for steroids, I'm just saying that is what happens. And I believe that you can get a lot out of hard work, a lot out of warming up, and a lot out of foundations, and you should be doing these things. And back to my original point about warming up, I start off at about 50% of my top set, so my main set that I'm going the hardest on. Then I go to 80 or 70%, and then I go straight into the top set. That's what I do as an advanced lifter. So if you're a beginner, start off on the bar on bench press, start off on your body weight exercise, start with bands as well if you have a particular injury. I do that when I have because I have a shoulder injury, I have a chronic shoulder injury, so I have to keep that up. It's very individualistic, but do what's best for you and gradually warm up over time. So that's what I'd suggest. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it's been quick, but I hope you got a lot of value out of that. I hope you enjoyed. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, drop any comments, drop me any comments you'd like about this video, questions, anything about the program. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you later.